home with my family. I have a small recycling bin in my office. And so this is something that took some time, but I think, have come up with a great plan, and it's going to work. And we're hoping to launch this recycling plan in January. It may be a little after January, just to get everything in place. It depends on the turnaround time for the bins. And we're currently in an agreement with the city of Tyler for our dumpsters on campus and our compactor. And so we have to revise that agreement and just get everything ironed out. But what the plan includes is for all of the common areas on campus to have a 23-gallon recycle bin. And then in offices, upon request, you can get a trash can, a desk bin. And we will start out with the common areas, and then as we receive the request, we will deliver the bins. And this is something that we're able to do without bringing on additional cost to the university, which we're excited about. There's initial cost for the bins, but in the long run, this is something that is financially a great plan. We are working with our with SSC on campus. They are the ones that will pick up the recycling and take it to the recycling dumpsters. We'll have 3 recycling dumpsters on campus. They're 8-yard dumpsters, and they will it will be single stream. And so some of you may already know what that means, but it just means it's not going to be separated out. We will take a few different things. We'll take specified plastics, paper, aluminum. Of course, we would love for those things to be rinsed out before they're put in the bins in the common areas and in the offices. And what I'm hoping to do is work with you guys. I think it'd be great if you could help us raise awareness for this recycling program. I think that it's something that a lot of people have been looking forward to on campus, including students. And I think that if we work together, we can get the word out there, and this can be very successful. So I support student involvement and sharing this information with your classmates and creating a plan that we can use to just get this going. Andy, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Yes. First, I'd like to thank the Division of Student Success. Throughout the years, they have done the best they could, given the inability of the city to handle a campus-wide recycling program. So I know the University Center has an isolated recycling gathering program, or recycling program, but I'm really excited about this program that we're able to do it campus-wide. This is a whole campus approach. And it's really economically better than the trash system we have now, which is fantastic from the eco side to the financial side. So I'm really excited. And I know we initially started talking about this when Jerry and I came on campus 4 years ago-ish. You know, we were very surprised that there's no recycling program on campus. So this has been something we've been, you know, working for 4 years. It went on a hiatus for a little bit. And then Bonnie, it came to light when she was energy manager, or became energy manager, that this is something she really wanted to focus on. So I'm very happy we're able to do that. I'm very happy this will be out there. And I agree wholeheartedly with Bonnie that we would love to have SGA collaboration support as we move forward with this.
Does anyone have any questions for us about the program?
I just wanted to say that I know there's been a lot of students that have come to me asking about our recycling program, so this is great to hear. I think just like in a general question, what can we do to help you guys, aside from just making sure that people know?
I think that the awareness is important, and I would love to work with any student organizations. And I know that recycling is something that a lot of you do already. I mean, you do it probably in your dorm or your apartment or when you're out in the community. And so just taking advantage of this recycling program on campus and spreading the word. And then there's events, hopefully when we are able to all get together again, I would love to do any events where we can set up a table and share information about recycling on campus and the benefits of recycling. I think that that's, go ahead, Andy.
Well, I was going to say, I think there's even more that the SGA can do if they want to provide or contribute. I know we had talked a little bit about maybe purchasing some of the bins, or maybe the students provide recycle bins for all of the residence halls. And that's part of the goal, because that's concentration of the students there. I mean, anything you guys can think of that would help support this program, we would welcome. This is the beginning of something that's incredibly important. And working with you guys, working with the SGA is the right way to start. And I think that will make us even more successful.
And I see a question from Claire. How is there no cost incurred to the university? So we were able to do this with no cost because we are reducing the size of our main dumpster on campus. We currently have a 40-yard dumpster. And so bringing on the 3 8-yard recycling bins, we're able to reduce the size of the general waste dumpster. And then also that covers the reduction in cost for the dumpsters. And we are also able to, I'm going to pull out something really quick. I want to give you the right.
Well, I can talk about the SSC contract. Another reason why there's no cost is because when I originally negotiated the custodial contract, I incorporated recycling into it, along with a number of other ads that would be at zero cost, because it's really the same amount of trash they're taking out, right? It's just where they're taking it and how they're collecting it. That's the only difference. And that was the negotiation point. And it was accepted to where whether we do trash or we do recycling, it's all the same. So that was a win-win, I think, for us whenever we were able to get recycling implemented. And that's something that we really wanted. So I incorporated it early on in the contract, so we didn't have to worry about it now.
And before I wanted to look at the numbers, I pulled up just my notes, but just to give you an idea, our 40-yard dumpster, we will be saving $8,000 by going to a 20-yard container, which is a huge savings.
And I think somebody was asking where the dumpster is. Well, we try not to advertise that, because then furniture will end up in there, and that's kind of a joke, but it's actually over by baseball. Is one of the locations for where we'll put one of the recycling dumpsters also. But then we also have, if you go over to the College of Business, over to Stoll's College of Business, there's 2 enclosures is what we'll call them. And that's where the other 2 recycling dumpsters will be. Yeah.
And then there's a question about the curbside recycling through the city of Tyler. So this is through the city of Tyler. We will add them onto our current dumpster and compactor agreement to come out twice a week to empty the 8 yards. So how that works is when the common areas need to be emptied in the office spaces, SFC will do that, and they take it from the building location to the recycle dumpsters on campus. And then the city of Tyler will empty those. And this is another good question. How would you make sure that only recycling goes in there? That's something we were talking about today. SSC will monitor these bins, and we will as well. And we're going to share educational information on the bins, but we'll also monitor it. And that's going to be a challenge, because some are just going to throw, trash in the recycling bin, but we're going to do our best to separate that before the city picks it up. And then the single stream recycling, yeah, it is single stream. Like I said, it's just the plastic, the aluminum, the paper. It all goes to the city together, and then they separate it when it gets to the recycling center. And then is there a measurement on how much of our current trash is recyclable? I do not know the answer to that. I've been working with the city on our compactor recently on how much tonnage we send to the city dump from the compactor, but I'm not sure how much current trash is trash that can be recycled. And then will this include on-campus housings waste? Housing will have the common areas, the 23 gallon available for use.
Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
So you said 23 gallon. That's the ones that are the green ones with the orange lids.
They're going to be blue. They're not the big, you're thinking of like the larger trash can bin. They're not that big. They're smaller.
Okay. Because I was thinking there used to be, I want to say 10 of those over by the tennis courts.
Okay.
And I remember that they were full to the brim every single time. There would be piles of recycling around it. So if we were going to do anything that involved campus housing, I would imagine we'd get a lot of results in that sense.
Okay. And I'm not familiar with the bins. You said they're recycling bins that were near the tennis courts?
There were
Okay.
maybe 5 or 10 years ago, there were some recycling bins over by the tennis courts. And they were the ones for the city of Tyler, the orange lid that city of Tyler uses. So, and there was a lot of them and they would fill up quite quickly. So,
and that's good. That's a good suggestion. We can also look into the larger ones for outside. These are the ones that are inside, that are the smaller ones that would be in the common areas like lobbies and high traffic areas.
And you had mentioned a couple, but I wasn't exactly 100% sure that I understood them. There's going to be one big one that will be for anyone on campus can bring things. Okay,
well,
so
in the common areas, the 23 gallon is open to the staff to put things in. So when I say 23 gallon, think of just like a normal trash can, like a larger normal trash can size. And when I say normal, the ones you see on campus, they're not that big. They're a little bit smaller than that. So I don't recommend, bringing your recycled material from home and putting it in. It's really for use when you're on campus.
So that's more what I was looking for, in the sense, if we do anything that involves on-campus housing, there would need to be pretty substantial bins to be able to have those people, because they could be separating at their own apartments and things, and then bring those out and put them out at the right location, if that's available. Is that something that's available?
That's something that I can look into.
Okay, so that would be a future goal, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about some of this in our e-board meeting as well, and one of the things that I brought up that I think was probably important to me was, we talked about awareness, but also education on what can go and what can't, and how to treat those things.
Yeah. And that is, we're going to, in our newsletter that goes out, we'll have information, and then we are going to work with the marketing department on campus to send out information. And I think I saw Josh Neves on here too, but if we can work with information that's sent out to all the students as well, that would be fantastic. That just is an overview of how it works, what can go in the bin, and that type of thing.
One thing I would say be probably a good idea to add to that list is, there's an app that the city of Tyler actually sponsors and designs and does themselves, that's specifically focused on the trash delivery system. And so anybody that wants to download that app, when you want to decide what you're supposed to do and what can it go, where can it go, you just type in, how do I recycle this? And it just brings you and tells you exactly the specifics for Tyler's recycling.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. I didn't know that. Okay.
So it's called Tyler Trash.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Robert, would you guys, I'm guessing the answer is going to be yes, but would you guys be willing to help us with that education? Like if we do any educational videos or anything like that on what can be recycled and what cannot?
Definitely. And I assume that's something we were already anticipating working on, something like that. So cooperating with you guys would be valued.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Checking to see if we answered all the questions.
The only one I saw was about the 50% reduction on the dumpster. And I mean, the answer is yes. With the increase or the add of the recycling dumpsters, we will be able to reduce the 40-yard dumpster by 50%. So yes, we should be able to accommodate that quantity.
Does anyone else have any questions for Andy or I?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say one thing. First, I'm really excited about this program. In my time in SGA, every semester I've been here, recycling's been brought up, and it's always been this huge undertaking that everybody was like, we don't know how we're going to do it. So it's really exciting that it's actually happening, getting done in my time here. I know we used to have a recycling committee or sustainable usage committee, and since we didn't have recycling set up, we had ideas about having a week where we have kind of like a competition of who can recycle the most, and then they would get like UT Tyler merch or something like that. So maybe that is something we could plan for next semester, where we have a week where it's kind of launched, and that can be like where we get information out and also kind of kickstart the program.
That's a great idea. Is that Recycle Mania or similar to that?
I think we were going to do it for Earth Week,
Okay.
But Recycle Mania, I mean, that sounds about like it's the same thing probably.
I would love to work with you guys on that. I think that would be fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us today and letting us give you an update. I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and I'm super excited about this program. And Josh, you can share my contact information if you'd like with everyone, and you can reach out to me with any questions that you may think of after the meeting.
All righty. Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is President Tidwell. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, great. Thank you. I hate to kind of Zoom bomb or photo bomb your meeting, but just was made aware that I was supposed to be on the call, but unfortunately had a meeting conflict. So is it okay, Josh? I know you and I have talked a little bit already. Is it okay for me to just take a couple of minutes of the meeting to talk about the question that I'd like to pose to you all?
That is perfectly fine.
Great, great. Thank you. Well, again, thanks for the opportunity to share a little bit with you all today. I've had an opportunity over the last couple of days to discuss some potential changes in grading policy with several of the other presidents across the UT system. And it appears as though there is at least somewhat of a push on a handful of the other UT campuses to implement a pass-fail option. Not just for the fall semester, but potentially for the spring semester as well. We have not had any questions about that on this campus, either coming from SGA or from Faculty Senate. But given the level of interest on many of the other UT campuses, I thought it important both to speak with Faculty Senate about this matter, to see if there were any thoughts or ideas about maybe implementing somewhat of a change to our policy for fall semester and potentially spring. And I also wanted to speak with you all about it as well. We have not made a decision to make any adjustments at all. As of yet, we're just gathering information, wanted to get your thoughts and your perspectives. And so I'd love to open it up for any questions or ideas that you all may have about having a pass-fail option available for both fall semester, the semester we're completing right now, and potentially for spring semester as well. Obviously, everybody's dealing with the challenges of COVID. Some students are studying online for the very first time and are finding it challenging. And so we want to be able to do everything within our power to maintain the integrity of our educational practices here on campus, while also balancing those practices with the most appropriate student success considerations possible. And so I'd love to hear from you all in terms of what you all might think about us implementing a pass-fail option for fall and spring semester. And so I open the floor for any of your thoughts or questions.
Would students have the option, like before registering for classes, to register for pass-fail, or after the semester is already over to register for pass-fail, like we did last semester, or would they have like both options? Like, has there been any like proposals for how it would be implemented that you've seen so far?
No proposals as of yet. On at least a couple of the other campuses, they are allowing students a maximum of 3 for fall and spring combined. So the entire academic year, not 3 for fall and 3 for spring, but 3 for the entire academic year. And those are retroactive. So you could get to May of 2021 and decide that you want to take 2 classes from the fall semester and 1 class from the spring, for example, and make those courses pass fail. And those would be retroactively, those grades would be changed retroactively. So we have not again made any decisions. That it's certainly a model that at least one of the other campuses, and I think maybe a second one, are considering at this point in time. As I talked to Faculty Senate, they were very much so open to that idea or a version of that idea. But you all may have other thoughts as well that you think may be equally as valid or helpful for students.
Okay, Dr. Well, there's a couple questions in the chat. I'll go with the 2 that I'm seeing. Will this remain after COVID is more under control, and is it a direct response because of COVID?
The answer is it is in a response to COVID. We will 100% revert to, if we were to make any changes this academic year, for the fall 2021 and fall and spring of 2022. Man, that seems like a long time away, but it's really not that far off. We would return to our normal grading policy.
Okay, thank you so much. And then the second one that I'm seeing in the chat would be, how would the pass-fail option affect GPA?
Pass-fail options do not impact GPA. The challenge, however, is that for students who want to go on to graduate school, there are certain graduate programs that require you to have a grade for your courses. So any course that you took at the undergraduate level. So any student that would want to take a course pass-fail would really need to speak with their advisors about how that might impact potential application to a graduate school, a graduate program. So I don't know all of those programs, but it's my understanding that engineering, certain disciplines in engineering, may have that policy. Certainly, if you want to go on to study medicine, some law programs as well require you to have grades for all of your undergraduate courses. So again, it would be very prudent for every student that wanted to create a pass-fail option for one of the courses. It'd be very important for them to speak with their advisor prior to taking advantage of that option. So I'm seeing a question here: if students push to keep the policy long term. Again, I don't see this as a long-term issue. As you all know, COVID vaccines are going to be in the marketplace fairly soon, and I'm very prayerful that we are back to normal very soon in terms of our ability to not have to deal with social distancing and the ability to get back to our normal day-to-day activities on campus. Part of getting back to normal is returning back to our normal grading policy as well. This is not something that I considered in large part because I didn't think it was much of an issue for our student body. Other campuses have looked at it because their students have requested it, and again, it's purely in response to COVID. So I don't see this potential adjustment in grading policy as a long-term option, but I think it is a short-term, potentially a short-term fix to a short-term challenge that we're all dealing with. I see another question coming in from Adam. Are there other options available? I don't know of any other grading options that have been considered by any other campus. As a result, we have not considered any other grading options here on campus. But if you know of other, again, reasonable adjustments that we might want to make to make sure that all of our students have the opportunity to be as successful as possible, we certainly would be happy to consider those. Faculty Senate Executive Committee, by the way, was very much so in support of giving students the options. Again, maybe not 100% pass fail for every course, but giving students options to maybe take a course here or there that may have been a little bit more difficult because it was either more hybrid than not, or maybe even 100% online. Unexpectedly so. Also considering that so many students have had to either go into quarantine or in other cases go into isolation. We understand that that has also impacted some students in a very negative sense as well, very negative way. So giving this option, making this option available for those students, we thought very prudent as a way to enhance their student success. Yet no decision has been made, but we do want to get your thoughts and your opinions on it.
I know a few students that had asked me about that, if that would continue. So I know there's definitely interest from the student body. Another question they had was if they're, I guess if you guys had considered the return of having a queue for a course. I know that's a little bit different because of Texas state law, but having a withdrawal without consequences, that queue, if that was something that you guys had considered as well.
Not in this discussion, but it certainly is something that I'm happy to discuss with both Faculty Senate, the Undergraduate Council. I'm sure they would like to have an opportunity to share their thoughts on this matter as well, and then I'll certainly discuss it with Cabinet prior to making a decision.
Thank you.
So it looks like Claire has a question about incompletes. Incompletes are always a great way for students who've had an emergency develop in their family or work-related situation. Gives them a chance to push pause on their courses and address their emergency situation, then come back to complete the coursework. Those are done 100% at the discretion of the faculty member teaching that particular course. We've not discussed making any changes to incompletes, but faculty obviously are very concerned about ensuring the success of every student. If you or one of your classmates is dealing with a situation where they need to apply for an incomplete, I just strongly recommend that you spend some time speaking with that faculty member. And if for some reason they're perceived to be inflexible, then you certainly have the opportunity to go and speak with the department chair as well. Well, again, thank you all for the chance just to field a few questions to give you all this update. I will speak with Josh either tomorrow or on Friday So if you all have any other thoughts or opinions, please give them to Josh. He will then get those to myself and Ona, and we'll make a decision either sometime very late this week or early next week. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
So guys, I think what we'll work on, we will rediscuss and we will see what we're talking about later. We will open this up again for discussion later. I think I want to ask of you guys something. So if I do have a meeting with them in the coming days, that I can be as representative of what you guys think students think. So we will get back to that, and I would encourage someone to revisit that shortly, so I can ask some things of you guys later. So last, as you guys could see on the list, a couple of weeks ago before break, we asked to speak with Ashley Bill about some advising issues that some students may have encountered, or if they hadn't encountered them, some things we've had or we've seen in the past. So she is unable to have attended today. So what she has asked of me is that I re-invite her to come at the very beginning of next semester. And so we will be able to have a discussion on her and maybe that with her at the beginning of next semester, and perhaps some of what we see come out of the results of advising this semester will be more clear in January, and it may be more helpful to our discussion. However, I'm sure many of you guys do have questions, and if you do, I want to invite you to please email those to me by Friday, and I'm going to put those in a list, and I will forward those to her, and I'm sure she will get back to us as to questions or to answer some of those concerns that we had. Please do that, because it would definitely reflect that we were intending to meet with her this week, and I think we had a lot of questions, and it does think that something has popped up that she was unable to attend here for, but I think it'll be good. We can still get those questions, and it may give us some time to reflect on what advising practices look like this semester and what they'll look like on the January date whenever she is here. So with that, I will go ahead and tell you guys what I've been up to this week. Mostly finishing up my stuff for UT Systems Student Advisory Council, the big ominous word that we keep on throwing around. If you guys want to hear more about that, I'm more than willing to talk to you guys, let you know more about those things. Mostly I've been in the office, just talking to as many people that are still on campus. If you guys aren't on campus, I sure do miss coming back from Thanksgiving and then getting to hang out with everyone in the angst of finals. However, we're doing good. The office is rather quiet, so if you guys happen to want to come by and say hi, it'd be super cool if you are around Tyler or able to. There's always something to think of, or there's always something to work on. However, with the dawn of recycling stuff, I will be thinking of different ways that we could go through that. We've been talking about senator projects in the past, and I've been kind of, ever since I caught word of this recycling policy that's come out, I've been working and looking at some of those things and how we can facilitate the recycling policy as we go forward. Other than that, not up to too much. So you can go ahead, Hannah.
All right. So I don't have much for this because the rest of it's going to be in committees, but like Josh said, just wrapping up all of our UT SAC stuff for the semester. And then I'm going to re-register student government for as a student organization for spring, because that would be important. We kind of need to exist. But that is it. So the rest will be in committees.
Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
So this week I have been a little bit busy. I have started back at my other job here in Allen, but I am working on, I have the information for a social media post for the Office of International Programs. And like Josh said, I miss seeing you guys on campus. I miss being in my office, and I am super excited for next semester. And the rest of my report is going to be in committee.
Alrighty, thank you so much. And then go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, so not much going on. Thankfully, SGA is a relatively calm thing in my life right now, while my classes are quite the opposite. So that I am actually thankful for. But this week, I've really just been, I finally got all of the completed invoices for all of the spending SGAC did. So I updated my personal as treasurer budget, and I have honestly just been collecting things for graduation, and getting stuff ready for next semester. And yeah, that's about it. And then everything else is in committee report.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Cameron. And then lastly, Robert.
So I'd actually done a lot of preparing for our meeting today regarding the advising stuff. So I will probably be forwarding some of that, I guess, onto you, Josh, instead. And then I have to admit, I almost booted Dr. Tidwell out of the meeting because I thought he was a phony. So I was right on the button until before he said something. Because people will just name themselves whatever. So I thought, yeah, anyway, that would have been a funny mistake, but hopefully you wouldn't have been too upset. So let's see. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff we had talked about and worked on. We've been working on the judicial board a lot. It's gotten up to, I want to say, 4 members now, and there's actually one more person that's looking to join. So I was hoping to get that done during this meeting, but it might be something that the e-board does over the break, or that we just do when we get back from break. Which, on that same note, in the same thing, in that sense, there's a few rules that have been just slightly tweaked over the period as we've run into certain issues and things. So some of those, again, that will be a small amendment process. They're mostly minor, and I would say almost don't affect any of the senators. So it's just a few things like that, verifying, clarifying things that we've come across. And then, so when that comes, I'll either do one of two things. I'll either send out an email to everyone, and then just say, hey, here's what those are. And the e-board will either approve it during the break, or we'll just do it when we get back. So at the first meeting, but those are fairly minor. And then I don't think that's anything else. And I don't have anything for committee either. So I just kind of discussed that committee stuff as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert. Moving to committee reports and on to student line.
All right. So I know that we had some setbacks with finals week bags, but we're finally there and it's finally happening. So I have the bags, they're ready to go, and we're going to pass them out on Friday. So what's going to happen is, now those of you that have been at the university will know, freshmen won't, but a lot of times people will go around to like the library or the UC or really any place and walk around with like something in their hands and say hi, walk up to somebody and say, hi, would you like this? And they'll say yes or no. That is the plan for the finals week bags. Rather than doing a table, that was what I planned on doing this year, especially since it'll be different because it's after Thanksgiving and not as many people are on campus, and the tabling wasn't good of an idea. So from 11 to 2, I know for my committee, I originally said 1, but 2 makes more sense. It's a longer time period. From 11 to 2 on this Friday, we're going to walk around the University Center, the Souls College of Business, the library, and any other student populated area. And we're going to have, of course, masks and gloves, and pass out the finals week bag. So one second before I say, okay. Yeah, that was it. I got a chat. Okay. Anyway, I know I already got information on who wants to help, but if you're free and you didn't tell me last time, like last 2 weeks ago, please let me know in the chat, or email me, one of the two, just so I can count on you to be there. Because I don't want to pass out 200 bags, but regardless, it'll be awesome and they're super cute. So that's it.
Thank you so much. If you guys are around, I'll be there. So, oh wait, I'm actually busy at that time. However, I will be there whenever I can be. So you guys stop by if you're around. So moving on to communications committee report.
So this week we had a little bit of a short meeting, mostly because there's not a whole lot to be doing. I just wanted to meet with my committee and chat for a little bit. I will be putting up a post about the Office of International Programs. And then I will also be putting up some reminder posts on Thursday and Friday to make sure students complete their course evaluations and they actually go through and think about them and do them, not just randomly click. Because as Robert Ray has been saying for quite some time, those are very important, and he is right. They are very, very, very important. So all of the senators here, I want you guys to make sure you do your course evaluations. And then I think that is it. We'll probably be doing some like final de-stressing tips on Instagram and Twitter, but I don't have a fully formed plan for that yet. And that is all.
Awesome, sounds good. Well, you've been doing a good job on social media, Jennifer. So you keep it up. I have no worries that you'll get some of those things done and they'll be awesome. So third, SGAC.
Okay, so we didn't have any formal business to go through last week of the semester officially, really. There's not much SGAC can do, but we did talk about next semester and how we can reach out to other organizations and really get our name out there and get the information out there correctly. SGAC's information is in the orientation for all student orgs, but I think it gets brushed over, or it, it's at the very beginning of the semester and everybody forgets about it. So we plan on sending out a engage-wide message to everyone saying, this is how you do it, this is what you can and can't do, here's who to contact, all that good stuff. So that way they have a place to go back to it on. And we also discussed creating a raffle where everybody who has used SGAC's funding during the year or semester will be entered into a raffle where they can receive a gift for their organization in some way to benefit them. And so hopefully that would be motivating for them, because it's one thing to give all the information to them and be kind of speaking into the void, and another thing to actually get them to care about it and use us. So we're hoping those things work. We'll be thinking more about what we can be doing to reach out to orgs more and be more efficient and useful to them. And yeah, that's all we've got.
Thank you so much, Cameron. And last, if you have anything more to report, Robert? Nope, you're good. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I'll have you guys know that these 4 wonderful officers have done a wonderful, awesome, tremendous, amazing job this semester. And it's been a crazy time, especially for anybody who's a new officer. So to the 3 for the 2 who are never in a officer role before, they did fantastic. And the 2 that have as well also did an amazing job. So if you see them around, tell them that they did an amazing job, because they have done an amazing job. Maybe putting up with me, maybe that was a part of it, but we won't go too far into that. They've done amazing, and I love to work with them, and I'm excited for next semester. So moving on, as you guys can see here, I failed to update who the student voice report reporters would be, and I didn't feel as though it was very fair for anybody to throw up there without letting you know, and with the times being so crazy. I would like to take this time that we usually have there to report two things. First being, please send to me any concerns you have specifically, or anybody that you know has had problems with or concerns about advising. Please send those to me, and that'll serve as a student voice report of one. And the second part of that, please send any opinions that you have, and we'll talk about it a little bit in just a minute, but any opinions you have on pass fail, preferably by the end of very early tomorrow, if you can, anytime tomorrow. The earlier the better. That's a pretty recent development, even from other institutions. So the more I can have to speak honestly with the president, the better. So we'll talk about that in just a second. So with that, we can move on to old business. As you guys can see, we actually have an agenda item for old business, and I want to review it with you guys very quickly. I do not see any sense in spending a lot of time on it, as it's something that I'll just be sending to the library very quickly. So if you guys give me a second, I'll pull it up. I figured it would be up, but it's not doing it right. Disappeared. So I'll read it off to you guys, and we will, as I said, I don't want to take up so long that we're sitting here. However, if there are any blatant things you'd like to add, or any grammatical mistakes that you saw that I made, please let me know, as it will not hurt my feelings. I want to make sure it's good if we're going to do it in this format, or if we want to change the format any, please do not be afraid to tell me that there might be a better way to do it. So if you guys can see it, thumbs up. I think you should be able to see it. This is the letter of support that was written. So I'll be addressing it to the executive director of the library, Miss Johnson, who came to speak to us that day a couple weeks ago. So basically saying, following her presentation 3 weeks ago, the General Assembly voted their support for additional changes to current operations and willing to support the library with any further initiatives moving forward. The first two, and me and Robert talked about these, so if we feel like we need to add something, I reviewed them myself and wanted to make sure that we weren't asking too big of a change on one of the issues, and I can bring that up in just a second. But these are the two big points that we have, and we obviously can add anything else if we see fit. I don't want to read over it if someone already is, but I will in case you can't see it well. The student government fully supports the adjustment of library hours to reflect those seen before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. So as I say here, this will allow for the accommodation of students in library facilities till the time of 2 a.m. on Mondays to Thursday. But that needs to say. Is everyone okay with that first one? No, Robert?
Is the library open till 2 a.m. on Sunday?
It's supposed to be, yeah, actually before COVID it was. Is that good?
However, that was the thing I noticed. It was.
Okay.
Hey, Josh,
Yeah.
could you just put Sunday through Thursday?
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Slash, not correct. So is that good, the first one? Okay, we'll move on to the second one. Student government would support the adjustment. That's not correct already. Friday's closing hours to match that of Saturdays. Student opinion has indicated that the offset closures of these 2 days causes confusion amongst students as to when facilities are available. I know this is one that Robert sent to me as a Saturday. Saturday's closing time, I think, it's also weird. It's weird whenever you have 3 different times.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember, if you'd looked at mine, I had typed out all the day and hours and times because they are it is difficult.
Yeah, and so
It's difficult to say it in text.
Yeah, I mean, I ran into the problem. My thought was, so I'm trying to look at the hours now. The deal is when I looked at the current hours, it was gonna make a really big change for them very fast, and I didn't know how. Sorry, my screen's giving me a problem. So do we want to reword that with an example there, or just say that match out of Saturdays at the current time? And I can change that.
Extending the Friday hour was really one of the important things that people had mentioned.
So extending Friday to last longer?
Yeah, Friday closes really early, and there's a lot of people who expect the library to be open all afternoon, and then they get closed on Friday really early.
So you're saying to extend Friday to the closing hours of Saturday, or because that's what your little example did show?
Yeah, I think so.
10 a.m. or 10 p.m., right?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I think Catherine, that came and talked to us, I think that was one of the things she mentioned was Friday evenings.
Okay, so do we want to put it to show that? So basically to stay open and match Saturday's closing time at 10 p.m. And I can go back and edit fast. Is that good?
Yeah, it's tough because, Saturday and Sunday they have later opening hours, but rarely are people using those hours. So
yeah,
on Fridays there's a number of people who would be there if they were open. But most people aren't going to wake up at 8 a.m. on Saturday to go to the library.
No, and
I'm sure there are ones that would do it, but
I've done it once. I was about the only one there because
yeah.
I didn't realize it didn't open. So I mean, it makes sense that they don't keep it. It's the same data that they showed. And what obviously the hope of this letter is something we've done in the past. Is if it's not exactly what is to happen, it's just that will be available to help. So obviously these other things, we believe that this is a great and positive adjustment to support the students who use the library's facilities. After discussion, guest speakers, and a review of the library usage data, we believe these would be the best movements forward. I know one of the other concerns it might have been is to just those starting hours of Saturday and Sunday to be the same. That way there's not confusion. However, once I looked at the hours they have now, and anybody can argue, can say otherwise, they have them set up because Saturday is probably the most unused day for the facilities. And so to extend Saturday from 10 a.m. to like what it would be 10 p.m. or something would be, I think, have them there for 12 hours would be a bigger stretch for them. And I think that's something that may need to be talked to about further, unless you guys want to add it to this. Alrighty. So last, we would like to thank you for working so diligently for us, along with the exceptional work. There it is. I don't see any sense of reading that. Does anybody have anything else to add to this before we, I guess, vote to send it forward? You're muted, Robert.
Sorry. Do you want it? It says from Josh, but do you want it to say from SGA or Josh and the student government, or is it enough that it's coming from us?
Well, I mean, it in my opinion, it's not going to hurt my feelings. It's whatever you guys decide. Typically, it would be this way for this like format of a letter, just because it would just, I mean, technically my role is reflective of you guys. So at the end of the day, it would mean the same thing.
What is this called that we're writing here? You called it
a letter of support.
Letter of support. There you go.
Yeah, and now it could be formatted different ways, but how we've written referendums and stuff in the past is that it was just authored by myself, reflective of your guys' opinion.
I guess the biggest thing was making sure that it is available during finals week, at least extended hours.
Yeah, and I might, that's going to be the problem. That I think so, Taylor, I guess you were saying yes to having the extended hours during the finals week. Yeah, and I want them just the same, but the problem is just my perception of being on campus the past 3 days is like the Sahara Desert. There's barely anyone here. And I think the problem that we'd have to make to them is, if I message tomorrow, is that what I can figure out of the current hours, because it's going to be hard for them to push if only half of what their max is usually in there is in there. So I'll reach out to her and ask what their plans are and let you guys know, because that might just be something based off of what their current status is and what their current numbers look like. It may be reflective of this week too. So does anybody have anything else to add? I might, whenever I forward this to her, Robert, though, I'll make sure to just get some insight into what next week will look like, and highly recommend that in the same way. Because this is more to serve that we would like to see this next year, and any new movements they have, we would be willing to work with and support those as well. So I don't know, unless anybody has anything else, then I would recommend we can move forward with this, and I can get this sent on early tomorrow. I don't know if we're supposed to vote it. That's where I'm confused. So we can, to make us feel very safe, and Robert's nodding his head. Usually it's a 99% chance of success right there.
Motion to vote to approve this letter of support for the library.
Second.
All righty.
Give me just a second.
For the super magical voting mechanism. There should be non-voting members, including, or that's without me, so really 4.
Okay, sorry if there's any typos or anything.
So all non-voting members, like if you guys haven't made a selection, please go ahead and do so. Give it 10 more seconds.
While we're waiting on that, make sure that everybody's done the attendance. It's about this time usually where I would look over and half the people would have missed it still. So if you haven't done it, do it. If you need me to repost it, just comment in the chat and I'll repost it. All right. Polling is complete in 3, 2, 1. Since I was involved in the writing, I abstain as well. As a host, I don't get to vote on the polls, but.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And I'll get that sent out tomorrow morning. So now that that is over, do we have anything else in new or old business? All righty. So we'll move on to new business then. Robert, you're gonna have to inform me on some information here. Samir's not present, so are we going to have to, you're muted as well.
Sorry, I'm off and on a lot today. So no, Samir would not be being appointed today.
Okay, Awesome. So then with that, does anybody have anything to add as a discussion item or anything in new business? I wanted, if not, then I want to entertain a motion to discuss the option of pass fail for this semester and next.
Motion to discuss the option of pass fail for this semester and the next.
Second.
Alrighty. So technically David made the motion. So David, if you have something to state going into it, then go ahead.
Yeah, just bringing up the queue option that I had mentioned to President Tidwell earlier. I haven't really been talking to students about it. I had seen that UT Austin made that decision on the pass fail and was under the impression that it was under the queue for the withdrawals. There were a few students that had mentioned to me. I know I DM'd you as well. So whenever you do have your discussion with him, just so if it could be brought up, you could, that there were students that even unsolicited mentioned interest in having that option. I know I have a couple of residents who are freshmen that didn't really know what they were getting themselves into this semester and will most likely fail their classes either way. Just in courses of like, they didn't know what their major was going to be like and stuff like that coming in from high school and then also doing all online classes. I feel like they would benefit, especially from not having that count against their record.
Alrighty. Well, I think one thing I have actually a really fast poll, and I think if Robert has it, I want to ask, and just for my own data and just for saying to taking forward, and we don't have to go through the list and say if you're really in favor of it or not. If you guys could take this poll really quick and basically saying if you think so basically, and what I mean by this as well is, do you think students are generally in favor of it? So whenever you're pressing yes or no, do you think students would generally be in favor of a pass fail, and do you think it's beneficial to have one? Is really the question I want to ask, and that's what I would hope I could show, is that, do you think it's beneficial? Do you think it's not beneficial? Do you think it's, inconclusive to whether it's beneficial or not? Is it just going to be an option that most people will use or will not use? I think that's really what they want. That's how it is framed to. Anyone who is unaware of what it is basically you're opting out of taking a recorded grade point average for that class. And so therefore it's just you just opt into it if you pass a class or you failed it. And your actual performance is just based off that factor and not into a weighted GPA, as far as I understand. So if we could have the last 4 people who have not taken it or decided they're not voting members. So really there's 3 other senators who haven't taken it. Come on, guys, I really need it. If you haven't, I guess I need 2 more. When you guys get these surveys, do you, as soon as we put it out, it just pops up on your screen, or do we know if it goes one person gets it, and it's like a pass around? It just automatically
goes
pops
online.
up.
Yeah, unless I'm always first, it always.
Okay.
So wait, what order? I didn't understand. Which way does it go? Does it give it to everybody at once?
Everyone.
Okay.
Okay.
Taylor asked a question about pass fail being different for the grad programs, and I think it is. There you go. Audrey answered it.
So thank you for that. So thank you guys so much for that. That'll help me, and I think is a better indicator and what you guys would like to say. Now it's harder For one, you guys did awesome. I kind of halfway knew that the president would be here, and Robert is exactly right. That we, I can't blame him for not knowing if that would have been actually President Tidwell or not, because we only had a smidgen of wondering if he would be here. So thank you guys so much. That'll indicate it well. So does anybody have any other opinions or comments on pass fail before we go forward?
I have one. So as like a freshman and like a freshman nursing major, I know that like for science classes, you have to have a certain like grade to be admitted into the nursing school here. But so obviously like you couldn't do pass fail for those. How would we communicate to that? Obviously like you would talk to your advisor, but like for students who don't talk to their advisor and they do end up choosing a pass fail option, like what would that, like for a science class, what would that look like if they did choose the pass fail option and then they ended up needing a grade for it? If that makes sense.
They'd probably have to retake the class.
Okay.
Hi, sorry. So for the class or for the college that I went to for undergrad, the way they did it was you did have to go through your advisor and like ask if you want the pass or fail, and you couldn't do it on your major classes, like the courses that you needed to like declare your major. Only the core classes you could use it on. And it's really just for like people who need an extra cushion because, you know, something's going on or emergency or something. If that helps at all, I don't know.
Yes, that's perfect.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Oh, wait, go ahead, David.
Sorry. I was just going to say, if it's like how we did it last semester, it was an option for all of your classes, and then, but they made it very clear that there are certain courses that you need an actual grade in, and you risk having to retake those classes, even if you pass, if you apply to an institution that doesn't allow anything other than letter grades. So that there's no harm, in my opinion, in having this option. The only real question that having pass fail would question the integrity of our like education here, just in terms of whether pass fail really guarantees that you have that knowledge and you learn that. And I think having the rest of the UT system already behind that definitely gives us solid ground for going forward on that. It just needs to be made clear to the students that when they have that option, that they're not making it worse for themselves by taking it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Sorry, I was wandering off. All of you guys know that I'm not taking the attendance thing, so that's on me. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Doesn't it D count as fail? Yes. Now failing is different for certain classes. I know there's certain classes in different majors that 75 is failing. So technically that's just a C. So yes, D, and it just depends. Your class would be dependent. I would ask you to ask your faculty member for that. And I'm hoping that last year, I believe they gave some instructions on once they decided on pass fail, what it would look like. And most of your faculty members do a good job of getting it to you correctly and letting you know what to do. So I think that is all for that discussion though. So we can move on. So we can move on. Does anybody have anything else to add as a new business item? Going once. Okay. If no one else does, I want to bring up one thing, and I don't know if it should be for discussion, but I want to entertain a discussion regarding meeting in person next semester, and any ideas that you guys have on if we should do that or not. I know we've discussed it before, but I want to make sure that we make a decision that's reflective of what you guys want to do. if you guys want to, now you don't have to heed my discussion at all. We don't have to discuss it if you don't want to.
Motion to discuss in-person meetings next semester.
Motion seconded.
I guess I have the floor. My opinion on that would be yes, I think it's a good idea. I think we definitely were more productive whenever we were meeting in person versus over Zoom. Considering that everybody's coming back from the holidays, I feel like it would be smart to have a set of ground rules in place, just in terms of how many current cases there are and people quarantining on the university. And if it reaches a certain point, then we return to Zoom while those numbers are there. And then after that, we would return like maybe 1 or 2 weeks after those numbers go back down. For instance, if you have 100 people quarantining, because that happened this semester, then we would go back to Zoom for the time being. And then once those numbers drop below 100, then wait a week or two and then go back to in person. That way it doesn't become a serious problem, but we can still benefit from having mostly in-person meetings.
There's always been a Zoom option in the past. However, my opinion is, and I don't know if it's reflective of the e-board, but it would have to be, yeah, so we have discussed it. It's just not efficient. I think it's something in the past we were really good about. Most everyone came. I mean, in fact, we barely ever used Zoom, just depending on if students were just not on campus and had talked about it. Now I understand specific concerns, but we can definitely work those out and would be more reflective. My opinion is that we can't really say until we have a per person basis. And even then we would have to be very, I say, staunch about it, just because there's a reason we did them in person. We are more effective. It's much more fun. I love to see everyone. And if you ask me, I did it because we get to interact on that basis. And if we're going to be leaders of our campus and we adhere to the rules, I think we can be reflective of both of those things. So.
Yeah, I do think that, I'm sorry if I cut somebody off. I do think David made a good point about people coming back from holidays. I know with one of my classes that is like a year-long class, we have been online this whole time, but the second semester like almost has to be in person. It would just work better in person. So the professor said that just as a safety precaution, we wouldn't be meeting in person for the first 2 weeks or so. So that way people coming back from everywhere has their time to kind of mini quarantine. And that way there's not an additional outbreak that affects the class. So that's something I would encourage for us.
Go ahead, Taylor.
So I know that it may not seem to be as efficient doing both, but I really don't think that there's going to be even as high as an attendance as there is right now on Zoom if we just do it in person, because a lot of people are going to be concerned about, like y'all have said, like coming back from break, and then also just as many students as have been in quarantine and all of the horror stories that we've heard about people not getting water and not getting food and all that stuff in such a good amount of time. I don't think that there's going to be that many people in person.
Yeah, I can certainly see both concerns. I think what our decision will be based on is if it's worth enough of a shot to try it and see if it is an effective meeting with, let's say, 15 people in person and 15 people online. If that's not effective in 1 week, then as much of a bummer as it will be, we can either just all transition to we're there for 15 minutes and we go, holy moly, this doesn't work right. Let's just all, frankly, get on Zoom, or we can figure those things out. But I think it would be an effective strategy to at least try it. And I can understand those concerns, and I would say that the best possibility is to look as we get closer. But you go ahead, Robert.
So we do have quite a few options here. Doing both Zoom and online would be the option I would say no to, pretty much absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong, having both of them operating, being in person and having a Zoom meeting going is definitely what we would do because we've always done that. That way you can listen in or you could even hit. But for us to be able to monitor and operate through both efficiently would be very difficult for us. So what I would say is we've got that option. We can continue with what we're doing now. It is working, but there is an added benefit to being there in person. And so if we decide to do that, Taylor mentioned that we might have an issue with attendance. Well, you know, we struggle with attendance either way, but if there were people who couldn't make it, they would still be able to attend on a Zoom. They wouldn't be as interactive and they wouldn't be able to interact like that, so it would be less efficient. But, you know, there's also the fact that there may be people who would attend in real life, and we may actually have members change out and interact on that level. So some of the people who couldn't go may not continue being senators, and they may change out. So we wouldn't have necessarily a problem meeting quorum in that aspect. But I do agree with you. So what I was going to say is, would it be a better option for us to consider making a attempt? We can either try to switch automatically and say from the next semester we're going to go all in person and just make it mandatory. Say we're going in person, we're going to do it, and if there is problems, address them then. The other option is do 2 or 3 of our meetings on Zoom under this normal circumstance, and then have once a month where we do an in-person meeting. And on that once a month, you know, I think if it's only once a month, people would be more inclined to make the effort to get there and put it as a priority.
Can I put my input on this really quick?
Yeah, you mentioned some stuff like this last time. That's actually why I mentioned doing them together would be a troublesome aspect. So, yeah.
So first thing, I'm in quarantine. I get out tomorrow. We do have water, so that problem has been solved. I just wanted to point that out in case anyone still cared about the issue. It was handled pretty much immediately when I brought it up to Scott. The second thing is that I don't want to rule out doing both. Like right now I'm in quarantine out of an abundance of caution, but I am not sick and I would love to go to an on-campus thing if possible. But does that mean just because I'm in quarantine and I'm not planning to risk campus community, like let's say right now all of you were at an in-person meeting and I just couldn't go because I'm in quarantine, and there's like maybe 4 other people on campus quarantining right now out of they use poor numbers here, so like 4 out of 6,000 students are quarantined. And does that mean I can't participate in the meeting because I have to be on Zoom? Because you mentioned, like, I think twice or 3 times that it would be very difficult to do both at the same time. So are you just ruling it out because it takes a little bit of effort? Because I think, we've been able to take like turns talking and stuff like that. So I don't think necessarily it would be slightly different than just having a normal discussion in person. But I think being able to incorporate, hey, let's let the Zoom people, do you have any questions? And polling people through Zoom seems to work just fine. And I think like I am open to having, if it's safe, the ability to be in person. I think it definitely, my experience from online classes versus in person, I prefer in person every time, but I don't want to just, oh, sorry, yeah, you're in quarantine. You can listen, and here's, it's like watching the video, but in real time, but, sorry, you can't participate. I think that's unfortunate.
Let me comment on that, and then also what Cameron said, because again, I'm agreeing with both of you there. You're bringing great information to the table. So yes, on the Zoom, I think what Cameron said, we are much more efficient. I've been working kind of on this side of the Zoom thing, and I would say that, yeah, definitely we would be able to be more efficient with that. And so the participation of those students would be good. One of the biggest problems, I think actually you brought it up last time, JT, was the microphone is just a struggle. So you might hear me and Josh but one of the senators pretty far back might have some, you wouldn't necessarily hear them, but your voice would still come through loud and clear on our end. So your participation would still be there just fine. In terms of the commenting, it would be very easy for us to put a senator in charge of just saying, hey, watch the Zoom for us, and anybody that has anything, you can just, speak on their behalf. And that would be definitely some solutions. So they're both, if we do it online, they're both going to go. But the concern is after 2 or 3 meetings, we might find that everybody's online. And so I have teachers that did hybrid classes this semester, and they offered the in-person and the hybrid one, but 8 a.m. classes. At the end of the semester, there was one person sitting in class with the teacher each time. Everybody else had switched and gone to the Zoom. So this is efficient in terms of our time. It takes away us having to put on separate clothes, drive, get to different locations, sometimes in pouring down rain. So there is some efficiency to doing this. And I think a lot of times people choose this efficiency over the in-person option, even if they probably like the in-person option better. So I would want it to be something where we said we're strongly encouraging in-person unless you have no other choice.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, so the Zoom has to happen no matter what. So let me go ahead and put that out there. And the reason is because you have distance senators, and it will always be the goal of the executive board to make sure that we have senators from every distance campus. And in order to keep them engaged, you have to run Zoom. So that option will always be available. I've always advocated I guess for the last 5 years, to every e-board that to help the secretary out to where the secretary is able to still take minutes in a live meeting to either come up with a new officer position or a chair position of the communications committee that would run the Zoom. And so that way that it's not too much on the secretary. And so I'd recommend that approach. So that way the quality does not go down as far as the Zoom is concerned. As far as safety, we would have to identify space, a classroom that would meet the group's capacity. And we would also have to make sure that the tech works pretty smoothly. Historically, HPC 2255 or 2250, that room has done really well with our technology for the most part, but it's been a while since we've been in there, so it could have changed. Anybody that does have a medical concern or is not able to attend for medical reasons, as long as you follow the absence policy and communicate in a timely manner, then accommodations will be made. And you can participate on Zoom. If it becomes just a recurring thing where you're not showing up, then at that point, if you're not communicating, I think the normal absence procedure would kick in. I do think that based on what I've seen over the years and the performance this semester, there's pros and cons. I think it's been great for y'all to keep going this semester. I think y'all have done a great job of showing other student groups that you can have student org activity, through Zoom. But at the same time, I have seen groups 2 to 3 times larger than the student government still host in-person meetings on campus and do it safely. And so it is possible either way. I would advise this group to wait until February, until we get settled back in, to make sure we don't see any spikes from returning. And then once we kind of have a good handle of where we are as a community, then I think it would be wise then to ease back into the in-person meetings. Putting on my director hat, we will be of any group that submits an online event, we will automatically approve that. If it's an in-person event, we are not going to approve that until we get a little bit closer to the start of the school semester. And so even if the group made that decision today, go in person, for my office, we are not going to approve it until it gets closer to the start of the spring semester.
Okay, well, if no one else has anything, I think it's awesome that we can even talk about it. I think what we will do, and what I would say we should expect, is my opinion is that don't think that if you can't make it, or if you feel unsafe, that you'll in some way be hurt because of it. We won't do anything to say that you are going to receive any type of SGA punishment for not being there in person. But we do want to work to be able to do it because we enjoy it, and there's a different level of formality that exists with being in person, and it is a lot of fun. So what I would say to expect is, and I would like to second Robert, is thank you guys. It's a lot of great suggestions. It is awesome to be able to talk about it because there's a lot of these things we can't figure out unless we try. And kind of on the trying bit, I would say to expect next semester return. And for the first 2 or 3 weeks, especially in January, don't expect to return in person. And during that time, I and the executive board will work to find the most effective way to meet in person and get the most pros and eliminate the most cons as we can. And with the meeting in person piece in there. So that's what I would expect. Thank you guys so much for all the considerations you have. If you do want to comment on it more, if you guys have any ideas once we move into spring semester of how we can do it safely, a location, any technology that you know of that could be useful, let us know, and we'd love to be able to do that. We want to make sure that everyone can have both a good time, feel safe, and be a part of what this is meant to be and why we do it in the first place and what makes it fun and what made it fun all the other years. So do we want to vote on it in any way in particular, or do you guys just generally want to have the e-board look into it and do that kind of hybrid model, and it'd be a responsibility of the e-board in the spring semester to have it for the first meeting of February?
It seems like there's a pretty strong encouragement to go to the hybrid option. So I'd say it's probably something we should entertain a motion for.
Yeah, we can. I think so.
Just to clarify before I motion, when we say hybrid option, is that going back to in person and just business as usual, because we already have the Zoom, and maybe making some minor adjustments to accommodate better than we have in the past?
Yeah, effectively normal, but with a acknowledgement that there will most likely be more people on Zoom than in normal pre-COVID times.
Yeah, maybe an enhanced Zoom option.
That sounds right.
Okay. In that case, motion to discuss returning to a hybrid in-person format starting February 3rd.
Motion seconded.
We're waiting on one person.
Okay, we'll give it 10 more seconds, and if they have not voted, then we'll move on.
I would imagine it's not going to happen. They've all stopped at 18. So.
Well, all right.
Since nobody abstained, I'll abstain.
We will begin working on that. I and the executive board will begin working on what those different options could look like. Thank you guys. I think it is a testament to how you guys have worked this semester. And if you were here for the last part of last semester, you've all done a fantastic job with this format. And hopefully we can work it out to where it's an effective meeting and adds a little bit more for some people what you haven't experienced as a part of SGA yet. And that's kind of what our hope is. So we will keep you updated as to any more specifics and maybe asking you guys to help us test some of those things out when we get here, come back next year. So with that, do we have anything else to add to new business before we move to advisor comments? All righty. So we will move to advisor comments, and that's to our man Joshua Neves.
All right. I think this was one of the best meetings y'all have had this semester, one of the top three, in my opinion. Y'all are very engaging and interacting with our guest speakers. It's always, I liked what someone said, it was a treat to have the president dropped in. And I think it speaks volumes that, he is seeking student input and faculty input before making a very important decision. And so that's pretty cool. And y'all should compliment yourselves on that. And that y'all are going out there and represent the students. I'm excited to kind of see what the e-board comes up with as it pertains to the in-person meetings. I do professionally miss those meetings. And so it is different to see y'all in person. And I think there's a kind of a more professional setting in place when y'all do have meetings. And so I hope that as we transition slowly back into in person, that we keep this momentum going, that we continue to grow this organization. This is definitely one of the better fall semesters that I have seen in the past several years. And then the last thing I wanted to take time, and I wrote earlier in the chat because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anybody, but I'm pretty sure I got it correct. But I wanted to give a special shout out to Macy Ann. She is graduating, and she has been a part of student government, I think, since she was a freshman. And she is the longest serving student government member that I can ever think of. She has not only been a senator, but she also has been on the executive board. And she, in addition to her being involved in student government, she was also very active in her sorority, in the Panhellenic Council. I think she really did a great job of helping our Greek community and also our student government and representing students. And so it's very rare in my experience that you see student leaders, come back for a second or third year in student government. But to be a part of this organization during your tenure as a student and going from senator to officer back to senator and still being active and committed, I think it's awesome. And I think she can say it, for herself, but I think she has seen this organization in a lot of different ways and ups and downs. And she has kind of, persisted through it all. And so, if you have an opportunity to talk to her, definitely make sure to thank her for her time and her service. Pick her brain apart, before she leaves. Ask her, what she likes and doesn't like about student government, the good, the bad, because she's definitely seen it. And I think this is a great opportunity to take that knowledge that she has and make sure that we continue to advance this organization. So thank you so much for what you've done. I'm going to miss you. And I hope that you keep up the good work. And I know that you're going to make a positive impact on the students that you will be educating.
Josh, come on, man. No, I think we all are. I have to say, and I was gonna do it. I didn't know Josh was gonna do it. Macy Ann spoke and did the first senator project I ever saw. It was on my very first meeting. It was for a bike rack. And now that I think back on that, I'm very sad because I don't know if that bike rack is there yet or not. It's not. What? Somebody needs to do something about that. Let's tell the SGA president about that bike rack. But no, Macy Ann has been an awesome part of my time in SGA. And anybody who has had the wonderful opportunity to meet her knows that she is one of the brightest souls on this campus. And so she'll be a bright soul in the classroom she's going to be in very soon, and it's going to be a sad day that she will not be here at our next meeting. So she is awesome. And again, if you do, just fill her inbox with questions about SGA. I know she will love that from you. She will love that if you do that. So thank you so much, Macy Ann.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say thank you to every single person who's here right now, because it is not only a good resume builder to be on SGA, but it's really good for your college, for your campus. We do so many amazing things on campus. The little things is providing bike racks, which it was going to be there, but then they decided not to because of the 20-year plan. So I don't know about that anymore. But just it's good to help out by I think that for the Houston campus, we put in refrigerators, Keurigs, that sort of thing. So it's not just for UT Tyler's, like Tyler campus, it's for all of UT Tyler. So it's an amazing thing to be on SGA. I know that there's a lot of freshmen out there. Stick with it. It's gonna get hard. College is hard. Stick with it. You're gonna miss it. I'm already missing it. It's gonna be weird not being on a meeting on Wednesday nights. But I do have some really amazing news. I got a job offer. I am going to be a 5th grade English teacher back home in Houston. So my dad's really excited about me moving back in. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported me, who has been here with me, and good luck. Y'all are going to do amazing.
Awesome. That's so cool. And I want to point out that we do have 2 people that will be graduating, but the other person who is graduating along with Macy Ann this December is Cameron Long. However, she cannot get this crazy guy out of her life yet because she still has to hang around me and the e-board while she comes back to UT Tyler and pursues a master's degree. So 2 awesome women who are graduating and completing their first stage of what is going to be a large part, and 2 graduating Patriots. So it's just so much. Yeah, just so much. So it's awesome. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys have both done. Cameron will continue to do, I know, and Macy Ann will continue to do well. Oh yeah, look at it. Look at the thing. So we will finish up for today. If anybody has no more announcements, then we are at the wonderful part where you guys get to decide if this meeting is over yet or not. I'll have to say, I'm sure Macy Ann has not seen it in her career. Not many people turn down this opportunity at the end. Not many people say no. So I guess it'll be her last, and it has been awesome. It's been awesome fall semester. It is a conclusion to 2020. It has been awesome to work with everyone. And that, like Josh said, I think it is really cool. This is my 3rd fall semester to do this. And I have to say, in 2nd year to do this as a president, this is, as crazy as it might seem, one of the most successful fall semesters that I have seen. And that's really, really a testament to the work that you guys put in and everyone as students has. So congratulations to you guys. We're almost at the end of what everyone on Twitter, Facebook, Rolling Stones, New York Times is claiming as one of the worst years to date. So you guys did it. We've got another one coming, and I think it'll be a cool year next year. And I think you guys, if you work, and as I've seen you guys all do as good of a job, we will have absolutely no issues. So with that, I'll quit rambling. Thank you guys so much, but I won't motion. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Carrie said motion.
Carrie the motion. Does someone second? Carrie. Okay.
Nobody seconds it. Can we stay here?
Just an eternal, we just close it out, and it's just an eternal SG.
Can I unsecond and just pull it away?
Yeah.
If I even hear a peep on a microphone on the second, it's going.
Yeah. It's like the Korean War of SGA meetings. It never actually concludes. So. Alrighty. Well, I think we'll have our last one. So thank you guys so much. We will end that. Thank you guys so much. Stay warm. Have an amazing break if I don't get to see you guys again. and be safe. Good luck on your finals, and I will talk to you guys in 2021.